All right, welcome to this final media session for the 2023 NWBA Intercollegiate Women's Wheelchair Basketball Championships. We are joined for this session with City University of New York. If you two wouldn't mind, please stating your names and your positions with the team.
I'm Crystal Jones, team captain for the women's team of CUNY.
I'm Ryan Martin. I'm the director and head coach of the women's wheelchair basketball program.
Perfect. Appreciate you both taking the time with us. We'll start out with you, Coach. What is your assessment of your team at this point heading into the national tournament?
Well, so first of all, thanks for having us here in Alabama. It's always nice to leave the Northeast and get some Southern hospitality and get some sun, before June. So it's nice to be back here in Alabama. From a team perspective, we're growing, right? We're a new program. It's our third year. We've got 4 players of our roster who have never been to a national tournament, and so we're charting different milestones, right? We're trying to set goals, change, and approach things a little bit differently. But I'm really happy with the effort that they've put in and how much they've developed since we started in the preseason, and so I think this is going to be another milestone for us as a new program, and there's going to be some good moments and some bad moments, and my job and our team's job is to kind of capitalize on those positive moments and use them as building blocks towards next year.
Absolutely. Crystal, is there anything you would add on to that?
I agree with Coach. It's a new developing team, so I think that we're trying our best to get things done. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, Coach, you mentioned it in your previous answer about how you guys are growing and one of the newest teams on the intercollegiate wheelchair basketball scene, and it certainly takes time to build a winning culture and to start gaining momentum and everything. How do you feel the direction of your program is going after this season?
Yeah, I feel like, because I have both responsibilities, the women's and the men's program, and I think, I think both of them are charting progress. As a coach, never as much progress as I would like, obviously. But from starting a brand new program and having two different tracks and doing it at the same time, I'm thrilled with the progress we've made. I think you've seen throughout the history of the intercollegiate division, it's hard for sustainable growth.
Mm-hmm.
So to have new programs, especially on the women's side, is a really remarkable thing, and I think that's a testament to the student athletes that we do have here, and their willingness to buy in when things aren't perfect, right? And knowing that the challenges when you're playing against Division I universities and established programs is going to be very difficult. And so I think the culture has been established, but the wins come a little bit later with that culture. But I've been really happy with the consistent growth and progress.
And certainly from a player's perspective, it's, when sometimes there are some growing pains that happen when you're starting to formulate a program and try to have that sustained success. From a locker room perspective, what has the culture been like for you in essentially the sisterhood you've had with your teammates?
I think this is one of the best sisterhoods that I have, had the access to. The girls are great. We get along really well. The team chemistry is really there. So it's just exciting. Like win or loss, like the togetherness. I just have a ball with them all the time. So it's a team that I want to be on. I say like all the time, it's the best team to be on. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and part of it as well. The way the bracket seedings worked out, you guys are the number 6 seed, and you're going against Illinois, and certainly you faced off against pretty much every one of the teams you faced off in this bracket. So, are there any particular strategies or certain elements you prepare for more so or less than others when going against the Illini?
Yeah, so Coach Steph Wheeler has a great program, and I think she's the best coach in our division. So tremendous amount of respect for what Steph's done for the sport and then the division itself. So preparing against one of Steph's teams is not an enjoyable task. You can watch all the film and all that you want, but they're a well-coached team, well-fundamental team, which is what you would expect out of the University of Illinois and with, the prestige of their program. So for us, we're going to just try to execute our game plan the best we can and control what we can control. And that's kind of been our message throughout the year, is just taking advantage of what we know we're capable of and trying to accentuate our strengths and not necessarily worry about adjustments. I think adjustments come from the coach during the game when you see something and you're going to try to counteract different moves. But like, my instructions to our team is going to just be like, go out and play and control what you can control. There's a lot of variables, especially against such a solid program like Illinois, that you really can't control.
And Crystal, as far as we've been told, this is the first time that CUNY has made the trip out to the Nationals tournament, and with this the second time. So again, with part of that culture in terms of trying to get to the tournament and everything. So what's the overall feeling, not just with yourself, but with the players in the opportunity that you have to compete for a national championship?
I would definitely say it is nerve-wracking, right? Because we're going up against some of the best players in the world, right? Like we have Paralympians on the team, so just having that mindset of just getting ready to get in that mindset of like playing basketball and playing to your best of your abilities, it's troublesome and it's worrisome, but like the will and power that we have to go out on the court and play anyway, I can't ask for anything better. So yeah.
And Coach, so we were in the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater back in December. There's a tournament that we were on the road for, and unfortunately that was supposed to be the first match you had against the Crimson Tide, and you guys had to forfeit that match due to injury, not having enough players on the floor. And we were also talking earlier with the University of Wisconsin, and they've only sent out 5 players this year due to injury. So how much of a challenge has that been on the season for you? Because certainly the full long season, usually about October through March, is grind. So how have you navigated that challenge of being able to sustain certainly putting the health and safety of your players first, but how have you navigated those challenges through the season?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenge, and as an emerging program, that's even more so of a challenge, right? You do the best you can. You try to, change your schedule and adjust and really have that open line of communication with your athletes in the sense of, what do you need today? As a professional player in Europe, we would have one day a week, we call it get what you need day, right? If you need to go get lift, you need to go get a treatment, you need to shoot, or you just need to, for students, you need to go study, right? And so we've been implementing a lot of those type of strategies throughout the year to try to get through the season, and then also allow the students to keep their main focus, which is obviously the academic focus, but continue to advance on the basketball side of things as well.
Absolutely. Alex?
Coach, obviously everyone wants to be peaking, at this time of the year, playing their best basketball. What's just been the evaluation of your team's performance here these last few tournaments leading up to Nationals this weekend?
Yeah, I would say we are playing our best basketball at this time of year, so we're happy with that, but I still think we're not at the zenith of how we can be as a club with this group. So I'm hoping we get a few more steps closer to that this weekend. But I am happy from like where we started in September and October and where we find ourselves here in March.
And both of you could answer this, but what is just the excitement of just coming down and making the trip here to Nationals this year? Last year, I believe you're unable to make the trip. So what is it just like this year, being able to come down here and be able to experience the weekend as well?
I think it's one of the things that's kind of like not bittersweet because it's the last of the tournaments, but like really excited to be here again, playing amongst the other girls and just like putting your best foot forward. Like you said, going out in the season with a bang. So yeah.
The same, I think as trying to develop a program, you're always looking for that next moment to build and build and build. And so, anytime we get a chance to travel and, get another game under our belt and get more experience and get more film and, more teachable moments as a coach, I think we're excited to do that. I'm really excited for the ladies on our team who haven't been to Nationals yet, and I think this is a huge jump from junior Nationals where, the NWBA puts that on, but I think this is another level. So I'm really excited for them to get the experience and then, take it into the off season and try to get better.
And for you, Coach, just what is one area that you've really seen your team grow in throughout the season where you say that's our shining point, that's a point that I'm proud of, seeing our team grow from getting here to the point where they are now?
Yeah, I would say just the chemistry of being able to work together, right? As a very eclectic university in CUNY, like we've got a lot of different backgrounds, and we're an extremely diverse team. And so I think the way they've all come together and kind of bought in to each other and getting better each day, even though, there's times where it's not the best, has probably been the best thing, from a culture and structure standpoint. And more or less, like when you start a program like this, and especially having a 2-track program like we are, we're always looking for like building blocks, right? So I'm not necessarily as concerned about a win or a loss or losing a quarter or losing a half or something like that, but what can we extract from that as a teachable moment, and what can we extract from that as a positive moment? And so I think this weekend's going to be full of both of those.
And obviously with the injuries that you all have dealt with throughout the season, it can hurt just having continuity on the roster throughout the year. For a coach, what has it been like just coaching around that? And for a player, what has it been like just having to play probably through some different lineups because of injuries?
Yeah, go ahead.
As a player, I think it's really important to just have chemistry with everyone. So no matter who's on the court or who's off the court, you can play well together and execute coach's plan. So I think that's really important. So the lineup on who is not there or who is there, it doesn't.
It's coaching. I mean, it's the gig, right? Between. I think on the women's side, I think there's a scarcity of athletes transitioning from the junior game to the collegiate game, and I think that's why you see such an infusion of international talent on different teams. So I think there's a scarcity issue. So I think if you come into this space, you need to have like plan A, B, C, and D, and probably E, F, G too as well, just to make it through. So I think that's the challenge of the part, and especially when you add in the classifications and all the nuances to wheelchair basketball versus able-bodied basketball, and so it's I think it's everything's challenging with an emerging program, so it's just another thing that we try to navigate. And once again, I give all the respect to the athletes here who are I'm putting 5 players on the floor and they're making it work, to the best of their ability, and that's all I can ask.
So, Crystal, I do have a question for you. If you don't mind me asking, who is depicted on your necklace, and what does that necklace mean to you?
It's my mom. It means a lot. My mom passed away, so it means a lot to me. It's just like her going with me everywhere, so it's really important. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. How do you allow that necklace to motivate you through these tournaments?
My mom is my motivation to keep going and keep pushing. So, like, just having that piece with me, like, no matter if it's a high or a low in the game, that I could just, like, okay, get back grounded, and I'm doing this for a reason. So, yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
It's kind of a question for both of y'all. So, obviously, this is the national championship, but what a bunch of teams try to do is try to keep this as normal as possible, not to overemphasize the magnitude of the games you're going to be in. What is y'all's approach going into tonight with the first game being tomorrow morning? Are you keeping the routine the same as always, or are you doing anything special?
Go ahead. Do you want
Routine is going to be the same as always. So, yeah.
Yeah, we really preach control what you can control, and with that messaging, like, never get too high, never get too low, just because, I mean, basketball's got a lot of ups and downs, much like life does, and so I think that's what basketball's a really great teacher, in the sense that, like, if you get too high during the good moments, like, the low moments are really tough, and so, just really kind of beating that mantra of controlling what you can control. If you go to bed and, after you watch a movie, normally, watch a movie, go to bed. If you eat that kind of food, that it's one of the things that I think at the college level you really start to develop your habits, because at the junior level you're playing once a month, you just don't get enough reps. But at the college division, I think you're getting the chance to understand, like, okay, hey, this is what I like to do to get ready mentally. This is my playlist. This is my go-to thing, like that. And so that'll be my messaging to them.
Thanks, Coach. Theodore, you got anything?
Crystal, I saw you from Brooklyn. What neighborhood are you from?
Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Oh, really? So I grew up in Dyker Heights.
Okay.
So I'm a New Yorker at heart. So I do have to ask, because one of the things.
Fan.
Yeah, I'm here. I'll be rooting y'all on. One thing that obviously I really miss is the pizza. What are both of y'all's go-to spots?
I'm gonna say Danny's on Bushwick Avenue.
We just had this conversation
Yeah.
on the bus. Oh boy. What did we have the debate? Like Waffle House, and then we brought up the other ones. What did you? What was the other one we were talking about? We were talking about Sylvia's, but what was the one that I've been to?
Silvio's
Roscoe's.
is elite.
Roscoe's, yeah. So
Sylvia's.
we were just talking about some stuff like that. We were trying to order food when getting off the airplane and stuff like that, so it would be at the hotel. And we noticed everything had a little bit of like Southern cuisine to it, obviously, right? And so we're like, oh, this reminded us of this. And, you know, we've got 4 freshman ladies who some are cultured, some are not. So Crystal and I had decided we wanted to take them to Waffle House, and they quickly said no. So that's my food story for this trip.
You can't go to the South and not have Waffle House at least once.
You're right. That's what I thought, too. So I think we're going to have to make that happen at some point this weekend.
For sure. Now, one final thing. Obviously, CUNY, wheelchair basketball is a new program, but as a New Yorker, I do know about what City College in New York has accomplished out on the court. Not sure how familiar you are with Nat Holman's team. Obviously, there was some controversy at the end, but you are coming from a school that technically, I mean, you guys were NCAA champions. Is there any kind of, and I'm just asking out of pure curiosity, is there any
that's
kind
an
of
awesome callback, man. That's a great callback.
Is there any kind of looking back that you ever do, like, no, okay, hey, you know, our school, our program, our former players have been here before in some capacity. Any, you channel that at all going into these games?
No, I mean, I think we're relying on our New York swag to the sense that it's New York, so if we can't do it, it just can't be done kind of thing. You know, that is the, you know, on recruiting trips, I always talk about how the university, you know, the city is the campus and the campus is the city, type of thing like that. And so, you know, much like the South has their own, like, kind of culture and vibe, so doesn't New York. And so I wonder, where did you pull that? That's like 1950, right?
I'm a big-time basketball fan. That's
You're
all
like
I'll
a
say,
basketball junkie.
Yeah.
Because, like, as I'm trying to answer your question articulately, I'm like, what is that, 52, 54, 53, 55? Like, yeah. Did you even know that?
53. It's in the gym. So yeah, 53.
All right, awesome. So, yeah, I punted that question, but, yeah, that's great.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Coach, it takes a lot of work to get a team ready and a program ready to compete in a national tournament, and it takes a lot of work to build a program.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those are things that you guys are working steadily on, and as we continue to get more and more enthusiasm for having more women's teams,
Sure.
What's a couple things that you might suggest to any institution that's considering launching intercollegiate wheelchair basketball? What are some things that they should do from the get-go to get themselves ready to be able to move into this space?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Doug. Thank you for that. There's a lot of things, you know, kind of like simply put, it has to be an institutional commitment. And I say that because there's a lot of times where universities will say, hey, we'll add this and we'll put this on somebody else's, you know, campus rec or disability or whatever the case may be. And you have to have somebody own it on campus, and it has to be a top-down decision that you want that program. A lot of times people try to, like, develop something, and, like, you've been around the game as long, you know, for a long time, and you've seen them come up and you've come down. But it's really that institutional buy-in all the way from your president's office down to, you know, down to your student support staff, and then your facilities and all of those different things like that. So it takes a larger buy-in than somebody just saying, hey, we want to put this as part of, you know, this building and that building and all of that sort of stuff. So I think it's indicative of the mission of every university to be inclusive and diverse. I just think the interesting part is I think, you know, adaptive athletics would just be another non-revenue sport. And as you see the intercollegiate sport model changing rapidly with NIL and different things like that, I think by the time we have this conversation at next year's Nationals, the college landscape will completely change. And I mention that to say that without a solid revenue structure, nobody will support this, right? Higher education is all about higher education, but let's not get it twisted. Higher education is a business. We're all here because we're trying to get a job, we have a job, and it's an economic structure. So if there's not an economic viability plan and top-down support for a program, it's just not going to happen. Yep.
So, Coach, I have to ask, so your alma mater is Southwest Minnesota State, and they are hosting the men's nationals tournament next week. What sort of feelings do you have of maybe pride, joy, whatever have you, to see your alma mater hosting the men's national tournament?
Yeah, so Clink out in Minnesota has done a really nice job with developing the program, so much respect to Derek for that. And, you always want to see the program thriving as much as we all want CUNY to win or Alabama to win or Illinois to win. We all want to see growth, and we want to see sustainable growth in this. So I love the fact that Minnesota, not looking forward to going to, Minnesota in March, right? Like that was a long time ago, and, bless Clink for dealing with that on the day-to-day. But, so I just love seeing growth of the game, and I love seeing, more teams come into place, and I love seeing more international infusion of athletes, right? Because I think the international infusion of student athletes coming to the U.S. system points to a structure of the inequity of opportunity for somebody with a disability internationally. And so, folks that are able to take advantage of that pathway, I think is a really awesome thing. And so I just want to see more growth. I don't want to come to a national tournament where there's only 6 women's teams. And respectfully, I don't want to see just, 11 men's teams as well, right? I think that's a charge for the leadership of the NIWBT to figure out pathways to engage with other universities to create a template and create a model that can be duplicated and different things like that. But and there's numerous students with disabilities that go to numerous campuses. So the raw numbers are there. You look at every D1 university that has somewhere between 30 and 60,000 undergrad students. If you take the 10 to 15% of disabled students as an average, you have enough to start a team, right? And so I think it's just, I just want to see growth. So I'll be really happy to go back to Minnesota. My phone's been blowing up with hey, you're actually coming back to campus with some old friends. And so that'll be really great. And, I know our men are looking forward to, competing up there as well. I think it's been kind of lonely. We usually travel with our women's and men's teams, and this is the first tournament where we traveled separately. It's been awfully quiet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this question is for both of you. Certainly, you mentioned this the second time you've been to nationals. What would it mean to you to bring back a national championship to City University of New York?
Go ahead.
I think it would be great. But in the future realm, it's going to happen. So just waiting for the day and the time. So, yeah, it would be awesome, though.
I'm going to my chancellor's office with the trophy, and I'm asking for some more support. So that's what I'm doing. I'm tenured, so I'm fine.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for your time, and best of luck to you in the tournament this weekend.
All right, thank you guys.
Having us.